Okay, hi everybody. We're going to take a few minutes to let more people join us. In the meantime, please put your name, please let us know where you're from in the chat. We always like to see that. The teachers like to see that. Tricycle likes to see it. It's a lot of fun. So just let us know where you're from in the chat, and we'll get a sense of where everyone is, and we'll take a minute, and then we'll begin. Yeah, people are coming from everywhere, which we always like to see. That's lots of fun. Um, okay, well, let's begin. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tricycle's meditation group. I'm James Shaheen, Tricycle's editor-in-chief, and I'm pleased to be here with you today for our third session with Martine Batchelor. As we mentioned before, we love hearing your feedback about this Zoom meditation series, so please write us at feedback@tricycle.org with any comments and suggestions. And again, for those of you just joining, welcome, and please feel free to let us know where you're coming from in the chat. A few notes before we begin. Today, we're in a Zoom meeting, so your video is on. We have disabled your microphones for now, but we'll turn them back on for the Q&A at the end of the meditation. This session is being recorded, so please note that if you ask your question live, you will be in the recording. So joining us weekly in November is Martine Batchelor. Martine lived in Korea as a Seon nun under the guidance of Master Kusan for 10 years. She's the author of Meditation for Life, The Path of Compassion, Women in Korean Zen, and Let Go, a Buddhist guide to breaking free of habits, which I found, frankly, very useful. She teaches meditation retreats and lives in France. Recently, she co-authored What Is This? Ancient Questions for Modern Minds. She has also taught multiple Tricycle online courses in partnership with Bodhi College. So we're offering 30% off on all of Martine's courses this month for meditation group participants. You can browse her courses at learn.tricycle.org and use the code MEDITATE at checkout to redeem your discount. Welcome, Martine.
Welcome, everyone. It's so nice to see everybody. And I am very happy to be with you tonight. And so, just a second, I see it's a bit dark. I put my light on. So I am not in a cave. So I want to continue from last week, which was about talking about mindfulness of feeling tone. And so last week we looked at feeling tone in terms of the underlying tendency. And then tonight I want to look, today for you, 11 o'clock, to me, 5 o'clock this afternoon, I want to look at actually when the Buddha I mentioned already the 108, Vedana, 108 feeling tones from the sutta. And one of the category he talks about among the 108 is a feeling tone, which are ordinary, which will lead to the underlying tendency being triggered, becoming reactive, amplifying, grasping. But that there also is an opportunity to experience feeling tone from inside. And then if you experience feeling tone from an insight, with insight in impermanence, insight in impersonal, then the underlying tendency are not going to start, which means you will be able to creatively engage with the tonality of pleasant, unpleasant, and neither pleasant nor unpleasant. And so I already mentioned last time that already when we do mindfulness meditation, caring and careful mindfulness meditation, we can be aware of the tonality of mindfulness itself. And as somebody said last time, it has a certain quality. Personally, I think it has also a healing quality. And I would, in a way, connect mindfulness of feeling tone with the cultivation of the Brahma Viharas. Because, in a way, the Brahma Viharas, cultivating the four quality of loving kindness, compassion, rejoicing, and equanimity, actually give us opportunity to cultivate the tonality with insight. So loving kindness and appreciative joy help us to cultivate pleasant tonality without grasping, and also helping us to feel well, because the Buddha was very clear that we needed to be as aware of unpleasant as pleasant, and that actually feeling well-being, a non-grasping well-being, was very essential for our humanity, for our connection, for our living in the world. So I would say cultivating loving kindness, cultivating appreciative joy, help us to feel a pleasant feeling tone, but without any grasping, just experiencing. How does it feel like when we appreciate something without grasping? When we love somebody, someone, without grasping? And in a way, there is a freedom in that experience of that pleasant tonality. Then compassion, I feel, help us to be with unpleasant tonality in a non-reactive way. Because as I pointed out, we are very quickly reactive to unpleasant, of course, because it's a survival mechanism. But I think compassion is saying we are available to the suffering of ourselves and others, but without magnifying it, without being overwhelmed by it. And then the equanimity, I think what is important with the equanimity is that, again, we're going to experience a neither pleasant nor unpleasant tonality as a mean, as a way to experience, I would say, deep peace, deep calm. I would nearly say deep rest. Because in a way that neither tonality is, nothing is happening. As I mentioned last time, nothing bad is happening. And so we can rest. We don't have to hurry. We don't have to agitate. And so what I wanted to do today in terms of the meditation was actually, since I have like 20 minutes of a guided meditation, is to actually cultivate rejoicing and equanimity. And so what I like to do during the meditation is actually bring the different way we can cultivate the qualities. So some of you will be familiar with what is called the metta phrases. May you be well, may you be at peace, etc. And here I want to look at the two which are less used in a way. Most of the time people kind of are talking about the metta and karuna, which are loving kindness and compassion. And today I like to look at mudita and upekkha. So mudita is appreciative joy, altruistic joy. And to me, this is very important because we have such kind of slant toward unpleasant. I'm not saying unpleasant does not exist, but to see, can we see as much the pleasant as unpleasant? So in a way, the mudita is about appreciative joy for ourselves, but also appreciative joy as in rejoicing in the happiness of others, which is also called altruistic joy. And so for this practice, I would like to suggest 3 phrases And then during the guided meditation, I will kind of point out the phrases, but I will also point out the way you could do also through experience and mindfulness or through the quality itself. But we'll do that during the meditation. But the phrase I suggest are not like the traditional phrases, but phrases for me which are connected in a way to insight. So the first one is appreciating my, this, your effort. So my effort, this effort to make it less personal, or your effort, the effort of others. And why do I choose these words? Because often I feel we put effort and effect together. And so if there is not the effect we want, we will say, I did not put enough effort, or the other person did not put enough effort. But personally, I think we have to see that sometimes you put so much effort and you might not get the effect, because it does not just depend on us. Because in a way, we relating to the world, so our efforts are not enough. But it doesn't mean, because the outer condition might not be possible to be activated in a certain way. But it doesn't mean we did not try hard. And especially it doesn't mean we did not try hard enough. And I think this is also something with others. When some people, they try something and it doesn't work, and often you say, oh, you did not try hard enough. But possibly they tried the hardest they could, but because of events, things did not work out. Long ago, I was following someone, and she became well known because she had written the 10 things you should not say to a depressed person. And the first thing not to say was try harder. Because she said, their trying is not your trying. Their trying is just getting out of bed. For them, this is like huge effort. For us, it's nothing. So in a way, really, I think to me, this is something which is so important on the path, to appreciate our efforts, but also to appreciate other efforts. Then there is rejoicing, second one, in my, this, your peace, your clarity, your happiness, your success, whatever it is. And this is because we often have a tendency that if somebody comes with a good news, instead of saying, oh, this is wonderful, this is fantastic, so we kind of often say, but what about this? What if that happened? And what if this happened? Then really terrible idea. Once I did this to a friend long ago. I said, she came with this wonderful news. And then I said, but what about this? What about that? And then she looked at me and she said, why are you doing this? Kind of like, pricking the balloon. And I thought, why am I doing this? She is happy now. Why am I frightening her in the future? And so in a way, can we rejoice now? Rejoice in our happiness now, rejoice in our clarity now, and rejoice in your happiness now. Then if things happen, we'll see later. But right now, can we rejoice? And then the third one is being grateful for my, this, your existence or your potential. So some people are more comfortable with existence, some with potential. Come back a little to what I said earlier on about, our life resting upon a single breath. And so each time we breathe, the potential for life we have right now. So in a way, this is a way to be grateful for that. So that's for the phrases we'll kind of use during the meditation with a little kind of, you'll see how it goes. And then the other quality I thought we could look a little at today is upekkha. And upekkha is translated a lot of the time as equanimity. And in terms of equanimity, often people feel equanimity means nothing will ever bother me anymore, regardless of whatever. That's not what equanimity means. It's not that I am on my little cloud and nothing bothers me, not at all. But equanimity, actually, in it, in terms of insight, is can you treat things equally? And we don't do that a lot. We kind of generally, of course, we have biases and preferences and things like that. But can we try time to time to treat things, thought, sound, people equally, and then experiment? I mean, if somebody is beating you up, of course you want to get out. We have wisdom within this. You're not treating equally 100% all the time. But time to time, it's interesting to look at, can I treat things equally? Then within upekkha, equanimity, you have being stable. So in a way, upekkha, equanimity is not about not reacting, actually, but it is more cultivating within ourselves stability, balance, groundedness, so that when we encounter difficulty, we are not overwhelmed. So in a way, balance. Balance means that we can go one side, we can go the other side, but we can come back in the middle. We're not so kind of like overwhelmed that we're stuck on this side or the other. So it's kind of like this idea, you still have movement, but you can come back to some level of peacefulness, of calmness. And also, and so for me, equanimity is actually not so much ideas as a feeling in the body that we can actually connect to when things are difficult. So I remember long ago, I was in this meeting of Buddhists, like we had a kind of a committee meeting. And then two people were starting to argue with each other. And then everybody like, whoop, you feel kind of a little agitated. And then I could feel agitated up here in the heart, in the throat. But then I said, wait a minute, let's go to my ground. Let's go to my belly. Let's go to where I feel stable, calm, and balanced. And so going to that place within my body helped me to actually have this calm around the agitation. So I was not overwhelmed by the agitation. And then from the calm, I could suggest some creative way so the people could work together. And so in a way, that's what equanimity is about. It's not to be above things, but actually to be in things, but in a stable, balanced manner, while trying as we can to treat things equally, to play with that, to explore with that. So this is what I would like to do today. So I will guide you during the meditation in terms of the mudita, appreciative joy, and then I'll follow that by upekkha. And then next week, we'll do something a little different. I'll talk about it at the end. So if we can find a comfortable posture, so again, you can try to find a comfortable posture. The back is relatively straight. The shoulder relatively relaxed. We feel as grounded as a mountain, but also as open as the ocean. And gently we can bring the phrases, one of the phrases or three of the phrases. Right now, appreciating my effort. Right now, rejoicing in this understanding. Right now, being grateful for this existence. If the phrases doesn't work for us, we could go into our experience. What is it I can appreciate right now? What is it I can rejoice in right now? What is it I can be grateful for right now? Or we could turn to the quality. How does it feel? Appreciation. How does it feel? Rejoicing. How does it feel? Being grateful. Now opening our appreciation to everyone on this Zoom call. Appreciating your effort. Rejoicing in your understanding. Being grateful for your existence. Now extending to everything, everyone that is alive around you. That it be the trees, that it be the animals, that it be the people. Appreciating your effort, rejoicing in your development, being grateful for your potential. Now coming back to ourselves, being aware of the breath, appreciating, rejoicing, being grateful for the breath. Being aware that we share the air with everything that lives, appreciating, rejoicing, being grateful that we share the air, we share this life. Now being aware of the body. Can we appreciate, rejoice, be grateful for this body? Now opening our attention to equanimity. Right now, can we treat our thoughts equally? Can we treat our sensation equally? Can we treat our feeling equally? can we treat sound equally? How does it feel to treat things equally? Being stable. Can we find some stability within ourselves right now? Being balanced. Can we find some balance right now within our mind, within our body, within our heart? Being grounded. Can we find some groundedness in the body right now? Maybe in the feet touching the ground, maybe in the belly, maybe in the seat. When we have experienced some stability, how does it feel? Stability. When we have experienced some balance, how does it feel? Balance. when we have experienced some groundedness, how does it feel to be grounded? Finding some calm in the midst of complexity. Finding some peace in the midst of agitation. So thank you for your practice. And then if we could remove the spotlight so everybody is equal. And so now we have 20 minutes for discussion. So you can raise your hand or the hand from the Zoom, or of course you can kind of write a comment or ask a question also in the chat. So already somebody said it's hard not to feel unpleasant tonality when things are wrong. I totally agree. When we talk about mindfulness or feeling tone, we're not talking about not having them. What we're talking about is, do we grasp and amplify, or are we able to creatively engage? So of course, when things are unpleasant, things go wrong or there are difficulty, it will be unpleasant. But can we bring some stability and balance so we're not overwhelmed, and then we can creatively engage with the difficulty? Which either mean we have to accept things are like that now, they will change at some point, or can I do something in order that they change? So I think, again, it depends on your inner and outer condition. Then there is karma with a question mark. I don't know where this goes, so I won't comment. Okay, Olivia, thank you. I'm finding hard to rejoice in the current world climate. What I think is very important is when we talk about the qualities, we're not saying you need to be loving 150% all the time, rejoice 150% all the time. But what we're saying is that there is a possibility for love, for compassion, for rejoicing, for equanimity. And that could help us in some way to deal with the difficulty, to deal with the situation, but also to show not everything is negative. I mean, a lot of things are painful and cause suffering. And at the same time, there are also lots of beautiful quality and people doing beautiful things in the world, and yourself included. So here what we're trying to do is it's a little bit what I would call the creative middle way. I agree. How to balance the extreme fear we feel? I think often fear is in the future. I mean, there is this film into a young guy is asked to jump over a chasm, and the instructor said, fear is in the future, jump now. So in a way, yes, fear, but at the moment, unless somebody is threatening you right now or threatening your community right now, in a way there is no fear. But if other people are suffering, what can we do to alleviate the suffering? Of course. So I think what we have to be careful is what I would say the difference between fear, which is actually happening right now for good reason, and what I would call a caring concern. Because fear will actually paralyze us, when a caring concern will make us involve, but we will then bring what I would hope is wisdom and compassion to that caring concern, what we can do in the world. And then, the hand disappeared. Okay, then until the hand come back, how necessary is it to use word articulation while meditating, reflecting, answering the question? So again, personally, I know some people like the phrases because it helps them to focus. But I know other people, phrases, word really don't help them in meditation. So that's why I kind of suggested you can either use phrases, or you can in a way just drop certain word as an echo. Or you can just connect to the quality. How does it feel to appreciate? And then that's all. You can just stay there and you don't have to bring lots of word into it. So it's really what works for you. Are word kind of like in a way echoing within you in a certain way? Are they helping you to focus? Or is it better for you to kind of connect to the feeling itself? And in a way just stay with it. So yeah, my question were more like kind of like dropping the pebble in the pond. I'm not asking you to answer the question, but through my question to connect to the experience. That's the way I would look at it. And then how does it feel? And then really kind of knowing that felt sense. Okay, how would you define, Fiorenza, and then I'll come back to the chat. Can you unmute?
Okay, I'm a student of Corrado Pensa. Equanimity in his teaching was very, very important. And is extremely important when we love someone, because we are attached, especially, for example, a son. For children is terrible. The attachment is very strong. I find useful to think, to use generosity. Generosity help me to feel more equanimous.
Thank you. Wonderful. Yes, so in a way, what is important, in a way, what the treating equally is about is how my son, my mother, or whatever, we kind of course, we kind of feel more love for people we know, we care for, who care for us. And in a way, the treating equally is kind of like slightly questioning that. I can still appreciate and love people who are dear to me, but can I include more people within that, and also not grasp, as you suggest, and also the generosity. I think all these different qualities go together, of course. Cultivating generosity, I think again, there is this open-handedness, kind of this generosity of spirit and kind of openness. So thank you. And then, okay, because somebody asked, how would you define the difference between equanimity and indifference? And in one text, the Buddha says, that's what I'm very interested in, equanimity and neither pleasant nor unpleasant. He said that you have two types of neither connected to two different types of equanimity. And you have one which is actually, I don't care. It doesn't affect me, so who cares? And that's indifference. But the true equanimity is one which is wise and compassionate and is based on insight. So I think to really see the difference between indifference, but what kind of indifference? Generally it's because it does not bother me, because if it bothered me, I would not be indifferent. So in a way, it's kind of like, it's not about that, but it's a kind, in a way, a deep caring and concern, but which is really built on insight and built on clarity, actually, on understanding. So yeah, I think there is a big difference between equanimity and indifference. Okay, but I do feel very grounded and peaceful in this practice. However, a feeling of being alone creeps into my consciousness. I'm used to being involved in the lives of my family member, in the politics of my country. I am new to the practice of Buddhism. What I am grounded in, if not this attachment? Again, I think to me the word would be concern. I think you have to be careful with the word attachment. Personally, this is a word I generally don't use. And I prefer to use grasping. Do we grasp? And if we grasp, we just need to reduce and limit ourselves, and we amplify. Or do we creatively engage out of care, concern, and compassion? I think there is a difference. To me, when I look at kind of engaged Buddhism, social action, I think in a way it's very important the treating equally. So we don't just see the result of what we want to happen, but also how do I treat myself within the action? How do I treat others with me doing the action and the recipient of the action? And so personally, I don't think that one is necessarily grounded in attachment. I think what we can be grounded in is care and concern. So we are concerned and we care, And then the question for each of us is, how can we creatively engage? And then this will depend on what is your background, what is your action, what is your remit, because we all have different circles where we can have some action on. And so personally, I see it as different concentric circles. Myself, people around me, in my village, in my country, in the world. And considering my ability, considering my story, my condition, in what way can I be caring and concerned, and can I act? Some people can have much more action than others. And I think this depends on time, finance, energy, etc., etc. I think it really depends. But all of us, I feel, can be caring and concerned and act in the way which will fit our skill and in which way we can connect to others. But whatever we do, I think it's very important that we remember the treating equally in terms of wisdom and compassion. And not just necessarily, of course, the result is important, but I think we need to look at the whole chain. Is it just me, or is equanimity a very tricky practice? I've been practicing with it for years, and I still find it quite challenging. You see, possibly most of the time you're actually equanimous. I would question that. Most of the time, are you agitated? Are you upset? Are you shouting at people? Are you, I don't know. I presume not. So most of the time, I would say, if you are relatively calm and relatively caring and concerned, then I would say you are relatively equanimous. However, when is it that you think, I am not equanimous? That's what to me is interesting. When is it I am equanimous, and when is it I am not? And what are the conditions which help me to be equanimous, and what are the conditions which, and I found that so interesting. You know, sometimes you have all the patience in the world, and you are the same person, and sometimes personally, I'm like that. Sometimes I can be so equanimous, you could say, and sometimes I cannot be equanimous for 5 seconds. And it just depends on conditions. And so personally, I find that very interesting to kind of look, what are the conditions? When do I experience it? When not? What happens? What helps? What does not help? What are the consequences? But Chuck, if you want to unmute.
Right, unmute. I like very much what you just said about thinking about what circumstances challenge our ability to be equanimous. And I think the place where I find it most clear is when I'm in traffic and there are people around, you know, there's lots of people driving too fast or too slow, and I want to be over here and I can't get there. And it's so obvious, if we stop to think about it, that we have only control over ourselves and our reaction, right? We can't do anything about the people who are driving too fast or following too close or zooming around us. And so our choice is to simply be grounded in our seat and in our control of the vehicle and try to remain calm and work with that understanding of control, right? And what we can and what we can't, right? We can control our response to that situation and try not to be knocked off our pins.
No, exactly. You see, to me, driving is one of the places where I meditate a lot for 2 reasons. One reason, because I'm driving and suddenly I realize I'm thinking of something else, which is relatively dangerous, I feel. You know, I'm on automatic pilot. So I found that so interesting. But also in terms of traffic, you're in traffic. How are you with this, you know? And I found that so interesting. It's a great place to practice, kind of, especially when you are in traffic. David, if you can unmute, yeah.
Yeah. Something tells me that there's vast equanimity just below the surface of our grasping. But it takes gratitude and compassion to let go of that grasping. And how do you foster gratitude for yourself?
So I think this is a very good point, David, because you see, you have to be careful. All the qualities, and generosity too, are part of the practice. So in a way, they all help each other. The loving kindness, the compassion, the joy, the equanimity, they all help each other. And we have to also see we cannot be equanimous, loving, etc., 100% of the time. Because as the Buddha says, everything conditions. But we can try to remind ourselves. And so to me, it's back to the 3 level. To see that in a way, when things are light, we can wait for them to pass. When things are repetitive, trying to understand what goes on here. What's the trigger? What's the contributing factor? How can I creatively engage? When it's intense, to know this is going to last for the while, how can I create space within it, but knowing it's going to last a while? And to me, equanimity has a lot to do with understanding, and understanding also our limits. This, I think, is very important. But Wendy.
Muting here.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been returning to a phrase that I heard from Steve Armstrong. This is the way it has come to be for now. And that has so much truth and simplicity, but it draws awareness and energy fully into the present moment, but also alongside a deep acknowledgement of the truth of change. And that phrase has become sort of a mantra for me in this time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's kind of really seeing, in a way, it's what's called yata bhutam nyanya dasana. Can you see and know things as they come to be? And in that knowing is kind of accepting they're like that, and at the same time, knowing they can change, but you don't necessarily know when and how they're going to change. Sometimes you can do something, sometimes you might not be able to do something. So very much so, very much so. Thank you. And unfortunately, we have at the end of the hour. And I just wanted to tell you next week, I want to introduce something a little different, the questioning I learned in Korea.
Okay, well, thank you, Martine. That was great. And thanks everyone for joining us. We look forward to seeing you at our 4th and final session with Martine next Monday, November 25th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can join us via the same Zoom link. So again, please email us with questions, comments, and suggestions at feedback@tricycle.org. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Please keep well. Please keep well. Thank you for your care and concern and your practice. Bye-bye.